Alright, if it's an emergency to get your heater going, you just connect the lines like you were told and connect the heater like you were told, and then you have the manual controller, and you would allow diesel to come up to the fuel pump if you could before you attach the last of the line. That way you would not have to overheat the pump priming your unit. And then in order to finish priming it to your unit, you'd press these two bottom buttons, which I will do. And the H stands for priming. And if you press the bottom arrow, it'll turn it off. If you turn the upper arrow, if you press the upper arrow, it will turn on. And to turn off, you press the bottom arrow. And then, after it's up to your unit, that's the button in the middle here is the universal start and stop, power on and power off. You just press this and your unit will start. So if you're freezing to death, just those couple things, that's all you need to know. In order to set the time, you just press the upper button on the left and you adjust it with the arrows. You turn it up or down, and then you press that again, and oops, I guess that'll take the entire setting. This is for a code that's given to you with the book in order to make adjustments on the way the motor, the way it runs. So they're preset from the factory. Now again, here's how you set it. You press this to choose the one there, and then I'll hit the OK button here on the bottom. And it goes to the next one, and you can go up or down with the numbers. And it's military time. So I would, if that's at all confusing to you, I would set it in the morning. Anyway, when you press it again, of course you do see that it says one of, and that is one of two. There are two alarms. You see the alarm clock insignia there that show and you can program it to turn on and off at any time, 24 hours a day with those settings. And again, here's the code that you can put in, and the number for the code is okay. And you're going to have to make sure your power supply will not cut off abruptly, because when this shuts off, it needs to cool down. Otherwise, you'll melt stuff in your unit. So do not run completely out of power. There is actually a glow plug in here, and I will start it right now. And this is just a manual start right there in the middle. I press the button. It says on, and the red unit in the middle is the glow plug. It shows it's on. The blue unit is the fan. The green and red arrow on the bottom shows that the exhaust and the intake is clear. Now the glow plug will begin to warm up. And when it's starting up, the glow plug will run at about 9 amps, I believe. And then, of course, once the combustion chamber is up to temperature, just like in a diesel engine, the combustion, I shouldn't say, it's not exactly like a motor, but however, the combustion chamber does not need the glow plug to get up to temperature anymore. Once the gases get up to temperature, the glow plug will shut off. This little insignia right here is the fuel pump. Which I set to its low setting. You can hear the fuel pump. The fuel is up to the fuel pump now. There's 2 green bars that have appeared right here. That's the temperature of the combustion chamber. And it's up to 2 bars now. And it might be burning at running at 1.2 hertz, which is how many times the pump is activated within 1 second. So to me, it sounds like it's running harder than that. So let me see. We have a yellow bar in the center now for the temperature. So obviously the speed of the pump is increased to warm up this chamber so that the glow plug can be turned off. Well, actually the glow plug is turned off now. See, the glow plug insignia, the red thing, is gone. So it's just running on the heat of the combustion chamber. We can see and hear the fuel pump. There's the insignia on the bottom left. And I assume, oh, we have another yellow bar there. I believe that's more than half warmed up. And above that, there's a little tiny green insignia on the right. I believe that is for the breather for the fan on the other side. The fan blows out this way. Oh. Or anyway, just making sure that this airway is clear. I said we have red. It must be up to about par. Now we have the final red bar. Combustion chamber is up to temperature. And it is running well. I'll show you the exhaust system where I have it. All right. It's kicking out a lot of warm air. It's a lot of air that's coming out of there too. And at the lowest setting, it's pretty warm. And I did notice that the fuel pump did slow down. But let's see, 1001. I still think it could be slowing down more but it has slowed down quite a bit. It's, I suppose, technically still in the starting process. but it has everything has quieted down quite a bit. But still quite a lot of hot air coming out. I'll show you the exhaust system now. There we go. It's coming out. It actually doesn't give out a lot of carbon monoxide compared to things like, but I can smell it out here. I can smell it. There's the exhaust, and here's the intake. The old Rockwood. I have to take the air conditioner in because, as you can see, it's snowing. And it's been snowing today. And now I'll show you the inside. Here we have the pump, and that's right by the opening of the door so that I can use a drape here and make sure the fumes don't come in, which they don't actually seem to be that bad. And here's the tank. Lots of fuel. Make sure to keep these lines butting up against each other, so that tubing should butt up against the other tubing and the filter. The filter should be standing up like that. That drop of water in there is a big no-no. And a drop in the water in the fuel filter, a drop of air in the fuel filter, which is right there. It's just kind of my personal rig for now. So you don't want air in the fuel filter. This line runs up to the controller, and we have a battery charger hooked up to its own battery, and it'll kick in if it needs to. There we have the diesel heater. May arrange that stuff better here shortly. It is running. You can probably hear the pump in the background, which we can quiet up by hanging it, actually. Here's the 5-watt diesel heater. It's a 5. It's a 5. Anyway, it's better than a 2 because it's got a bigger combustion, or it's got more fins to be more efficient for getting the heat out of there. And there's the battery. Just put those wires directly to the nuts. And as you see, I don't have to worry about maintaining the battery. If power goes out, that big deep cycle will last a long time. And it's running. And I know it isn't pretty, but I put that cord in there for its own power supply. I'll adjust that shortly, and there's a good amount of hot air coming out of there, nice and quietly. The fan is slowed down, and we can adjust this as needed. This is my refrigerator, and up by the ceiling is my controller. Yes, it did back down a little bit, or quite a bit, and it's still running. However, it's not, everything is slowed down quite a bit. This is the 5 kilowatts, so it has a bigger chamber to absorb the fuel, absorb the heat and bring it into the camper. Five kilowatts. But now this is not draining much electricity at all because the gold plug is not going. And the fan is turned down to slow. Yes, let's press the OK button. 24 degrees Celsius. 8 degrees Celsius. It's got the big degrees mark there. See that? Now, that's the target rate at which it's aiming for, which is the lowest setting. Now, I'm going to move this up to let's say 25. Or 27. I'll hit the OK button here. See that small degrees Celsius? That's what the degrees is in the cabin of the camper. I believe the thermometer is probably right in this controller, and it says it's 24 degrees Celsius. And we have the target set at 27 Celsius. So it sounds like the fuel pump, which is indicated right there, has increased speed. And it sounds like I can hear more air in the combustion chamber. So when it kicks up, you can hear a little something, and we can hear a little bit of air. But when it goes down to its bare minimum running at about 1.2 hertz, you can barely hear it when you're right next to it. Yes, the fan is really picked up, and look at, you can see the red bar. And actually, I can feel some warm air moving in the cabin over here too. You know, it's pointed the other way, but I can feel some warm air coming this way. So when I push this OK button here, it does show the 24 degrees in the cabin. Small degrees mark. Big degree mark, that's the target. Celsius, that's all we have is Celsius, no Fahrenheit. 11.8 volts. That's like that's getting close to the bare minimum. 11.5 is the bare minimum. Ooh, I don't like to see that. We're going to have to make sure that the charger is working properly. And there's the error code, which is 00. There are no numbers there, so there is no errors being shown whatsoever. If there was a 0, 1, etc., then that would be a problem. And as you can hear, the pump is just cooking. I'm tempted to turn up the heat a little bit more. Let's look at this. The big one is the target. Yeah, let's turn it up to. We'll turn it up to 28. That's right where it's sitting. 28. I guess it's only 4 degrees, but hey, I don't need it too hot. Well, I'm fairly confident and pleasingly surprised that this looks like all I'll need to heat this thing in the coldest of times. And it's pretty Nice little unit as far as it cleans itself too. So when it's shutting itself down, it turns on the glow plug, and that way it cleans off the glow plug. There's a little screen in there. Pretty much self-maintained. I'm going to probably run it at full blast as much as possible. But then again, I suppose it's a flip of a coin. I may just set it and forget it, just like a regular thermometer, which is very nice. Because, yeah, I don't want to wake up and it's freezing in here, or wake up in here and it's blasting in here. So anyway, it's still kicking butt. In other words, it's got all its bars for the heat of the combustion chamber going. Let's see. Oh, yep, the deck is still the same temperature up here. The remote control I put on the wood, which could conduct a little bit of the cold weather. So I put a piece of styrofoam behind it. So this is fairly accurate. You can hear the fuel pump just going. Let's see, 1001, 1001, 1001. You know, there might be 3 or 4 revolutions per second, which is a hertz, so it might, at its lowest setting, running at 1.2. It barely uses any fuel. Yes, I'm watching my battery level. With my Walmart charger, it was the cheapest they had. It was like $50. The gentleman told me it would kick in and trickle charge if it got too low. But you see that 11.5 is the least amount that the unit requires. So I'll be watching that to make sure that the Walmart charger, which is connected to the Walmart Deep Cycle Marine battery, that they stay in check and don't get below that point. Now, I don't know if it's smart enough to do the cool down method if it gets below that point. That's why I have to watch it. So if the unit ever loses power abruptly while working, it may get wrecked because all that heat in there has no place to go, and it might melt all your electronics versus cooling down with all the air moving through there. Yeah, now supposedly again, air bubbles are bad. And I do see I have a couple in the system, and I'll be watching those. I suppose that's one reason why you want your fuel pump at an angle, just one of them. You probably, if one big problem is if there's an air bubble in the pump, that'll interfere with proper operation. Alright, well, you can hear the fuel pump is going pretty good. At 11.4 volts is a little less than it recommended. On the front cover, it said it was best if it was 11.5 to 12.8 volts. Alright, I'll press this OK button. There's no errors. There's the time. This is the temperature on deck. I believe there's a sensor in the controller right here by my hand. See, it just went up with my hand being there. Either that or the temperature has risen another degree. And let's see. There's your... Now if we press the settings button up here, goes through the setup. This is where you would, to get into the system deeper and control fan settings, etc., you would put the code in there. However, I think what I was going to suggest is your lowest hertz that it's running. I think once you reach your target temperature, I think it'll run at your set hertz pumping speed. So, as you see, it's kicked in right now and it's running full blast. So if it was super cold outside, set at its lowest hertz, I suppose it would have to kick up to full blast, and then the pump is running at probably like 2 or 3 hertz just to get this maximum temperature. So maybe in super cold temperatures, you'd be better off raising your hertz rate, which I believe is a bare minimum, again, at which you'd be running at once it reached its target temperature. So there would still be there's still some heat coming in. The thing is still running while it's watching the temperature. Again, you can turn it on or off right here. I'm going to leave it on. Thank you for putting up with this Chinese diesel heater remote video. This was my Thanksgiving 2021. Happy holidays. Enjoy your Chinese diesel heater if you've purchased one. Thank you for watching the video.